Lifeboat Live. We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. It's a pleasure to have all of you here this evening. We got the usual crew of suspects that we need to keep in our prayers. Everybody that's suffering with the CMAF, and we also still want to keep in our prayers JC, the injury from the car accident. He's still going through some pain, having some issues with that. And also, we would like to keep Miss V in our thoughts and prayers. We all know her situation, and the people involved, the parties involved are coming up on, developments. So we just want to keep Miss V in our prayers. A great member of the boat and the crew here. Folks, before I get rolling, I had some feedback on the video this morning, and 99.9% of it was really positive. Everybody kind of likes the editing and the added skill sort of that my partner is able to put into the videos. We're polishing up the boat a little bit. The more that YouTube pushes us out into the world, the more we'd like to look like maybe we've done this before. So in getting the intro and the outro and all of those things put together, it's helping us polish up the boat. For the 1 or 2 folks who seem to take issue or to take umbrage, so to speak, with the subject matter, people, there are 2 definitions to the word faith, and one of them directly speaks to nothing but a higher power, and it's a difficult subject to talk about without the discussion of that higher power. And I have never shied away for even a second in telling everybody exactly what my beliefs were. They don't have to be your beliefs. And there are plenty of people who are getting sober without those beliefs. And there are plenty of people who very respectfully just think otherwise. People that jump to mind are, Jesse is a great example. Just doesn't believe the same thing, but he's a very sober individual and doing fantastic without any need of that in his life. Chi-Chi is another example that just jumps right off the page at you. So people, no pressure. I'm not telling anybody they have to believe the way I believe, but the fact that we seem to do a much better job of respecting one another's beliefs, as you see in other places. And that's, to me, probably the biggest takeaway is the fact that, we all may not agree on the same thing at all times. In fact, good Lord, we know we don't agree on the same things most of the time. And I am not your guru, right? I am not, my job is to bring up things and make you think. My job is to bring up things and make you discuss so that everybody has an opportunity to weigh in on things and learn from one another. There is a beautiful post that has just been put up in the Facebook group. I believe it was put up by Andrea. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's who put it up. And it is a really kind of an opportunity. It's the way she describes recharging your batteries. She uses the the illustration of a flashlight and batteries going out, and she uses the different sizes of the particular batteries. It is absolutely awesome. I may have to talk about it here tomorrow for those people that don't get over to the Facebook group. But if you're not over there, man, if you go over there for no other reason than to check that out, that's something that would really make I think it would be worth your time, and it would certainly make me happy. It's just a beautiful thing. It really is. And I want to thank her for putting that up there because it's awesome. People, you saw the subject matter today, talking about anchor. Very oftentimes here, because of the nautical theme of what we do on the lifeboat, the anchor gets an awful lot of use. Emojis, people talking about it. The 21 anchor salute is something that we have adopted here that really has sort of taken off, and it's another one of those things that kind of makes the lifeboat unique. And personally, I love it. I really do. But discussion of the word anchor and what that means is probably something that should be discussed, because let's be honest, everyone, everybody on the planet has an anchor. In fact, most people on this planet at one time or another have had several anchors, right? Throughout our life, we will anchor ourselves to different things. For some individuals, belief in a higher power is that anchor. For other individuals, belief in yourself is that anchor. But again, so oftentimes, because of who we are, our anchor ends up being, instead of something healthy, our anchor very oftentimes becomes something that is unhealthy. I mean, pointedly and decidedly unhealthy. And when that happens, as opposed to being the type of anchor that we often think of as being a rock, right? Something you're anchored to. If you think about it again in terms of a nautical kind of a definition, this is something that you do to keep yourself from floating away, to keep yourself moored in one place, right? It is the solid tether that keeps you from getting away from what you're trying to do. However, it can go the other route and just be something that sinks you to the bottom of the ocean and takes away absolutely everything going correct in your life. When people talk about anchors, it's used many different ways, and one of them is it's like tying an anchor to you, right? You're tossing someone overboard with a anchor tied to them. And I think very oftentimes that's what drugs and alcohol do. And again, people, not always. There are individuals who don't have addictive problems. So don't send me an email tonight saying, well, there's plenty of people. Not here, right? We're not here to talk about all of the individuals who manage to have a couple of beers and go home. That's not what this place is. And to be honest, I'm somewhat amazed by the people who come here and then tell me that. The very nature of what we do here on the lifeboat is we talk about addiction. We talk about what happens when the use of drugs or alcohol jumps the track, right? We're all in the same boat. For what reason? Because it hasn't worked out so well for us at one time or another. Now, are there people here? Thank you so much. I need that technical fund. There are people who watch who don't have drug problems. Absolutely. But make no mistake, people, across the board in everything that we do, going forward, always, we play the numbers, right? The vast majority of people here do not have success managing the use of drugs or alcohol. They have become an anchor dragging down your life, or has been an anchor dragging down your life. Much like the video today, we're playing the averages. Are there people for whom life is fantastic without a higher power? Absolutely. But when discussing faith, God usually comes up on playing the numbers. So as long as we kind of keep that in the back of our head, I think the ship's sort of keeps on a more even keel. I think we could all be on the same page on that. Also, people, before I get too into this, I have a goodbye letter, right? And our goodbye letter is from Brandon. Unfortunately, I can't pull it up. When I started here this evening, I was trying to pull that up on my second device. I haven't been able to do that. So tomorrow night, I will make sure that if I'm unable to do that, I'll have it in a written format, but I do want to get Brandon's goodbye letter out so that you guys can hear it. I think it's fantastic that he's taken the time to sort of draw that line in the sand. When you do the goodbye letter, for so many people, it's cathartic, and I could tell for him it was. Our correspondent, since he's written it, he's very excited that he took the time to do this, and I'm very excited for you people to hear it. And that will be tomorrow night. So If Brandon is here this evening, I haven't seen him yet, but if he is, I apologize that I was unable to pull that up this evening. But I want to make sure that you know I haven't forgotten about you. So people, the question becomes, as you start to get sober, what is going to be your anchor? And I'm not here to tell you what that needs to be. But what I am here to tell you is that you need to have an anchor in your life. You need to have something that is your go-to. And the anchor can take on many different forms. You know, I talk about the way that I got sober, and I talked about making a list of the reasons I got sober. For some people, that is a form of anchor. In other words, you know, if you have a 3-year-old baby girl and the prospect of this girl watching you as a alcoholic or watching you as a drug addict as she starts to grow, if that is a driving force in your life, for many people, that can be an anchor. For other people, it is going to be something like a group kind of a setup, like something we have at the Lifeboat, or AA or NA or any other form of group therapy. That oftentimes for people becomes an anchor. In fact, it's probably one of the most popular anchors that people use worldwide when trying to get sober. Doesn't mean everyone has to, right? I'm not a huge fan of that particular format. I am, however, a big fan of the group environment, and I am a big fan in leaning on one another. I really believe that that is kind of the basis for what works the best. Once again, play in the numbers. Today, I got a phone call. It was about 3 hours ago. And I don't want to put this individual on blast. There's an excellent chance that this individual will decide to share this story with the Lifeboat anyway. But just in case, we'll do a little anonymity thing. But I got a phone call from someone who was in a panic, in a dead panic. And this individual is recently sober and got news from a family member of it was a disturbing call, and there was some health issues. And basically this person is saying, you need to come out here and help me with my child because I'm having some things going on with my health. I need your help. And when I picked up the phone, this individual was literally starting to hyperventilate and tears were flowing. And it was an amazing phone call, people, because some of the things that we talk about daily here on the Lifeboat, we actually got to put into practice. I said, you remember how we talked about how about the mind? And as you start to panic, you realize what's going on. You need to take some deep breaths. This individual did, sort of got the breathing back under control. And then we moved on and said, hey, the logic center and the emotion center of the brain don't get along. Remember having this discussion on the Lifeboat? Well, right now, the emotion center of your brain is trying to make decisions, which is not really what it's intended to do. So you need to start doing exactly the things that we talk about while you're in the live chats. And over the course of about a 15 to 20 minute phone call, an amazing thing happened. This person got the breathing under control, got the brain to calm down, the panic attack went away. And over the course of the time that we were able to talk, it was an amazing thing to watch somebody gain back control from being in a panic as a recently sober person, that what they were going to have to go and endure, this frightening prospect. By the end of the call, they realized that they were being trusted by somebody in the family who had enough faith in them to now say, you're my go-to. I would like you to come out here and take care of business for me. And I, after talking for a while, I said, how good does it feel to know that you're not needing to go out there with a stash? You're not going to end up sick because you don't have drugs. You're not going to find yourself in an uncomfortable position that is really going to make you unhappy, right? You're where you want to be in life. This is not. This is an opportunity to shine. It's not an opportunity to panic. And I said, you really ought to be relishing in the fact that you can celebrate the fact that you're sober and that you can make this happen, that you are someone that someone is leaning on. And before that call was over, this person said, and you should be really happy that I just called you and basically used, me and this system, because if it wasn't me, there was going to be somebody else on that call list. But they used the Lifeboat as that anchor. When the panic started and the illogical behavior started because of it, they were able to plug into something in place that gave them the opportunity to get life back in perspective and under control. It doesn't have to be the lifeboat, but there has to be an anchor. What is it that you're going to do when the breathing starts getting like that and that phone call happens? Whatever it is, we've talked about this before, when the panic sets in, whether it's the Internal Revenue Service or whether it's a child who says, I just wrecked the car, or whatever it is that gets your mind to a place that you're uncomfortable with. That is the time for all people, whether you're in recovery or whether you're just a regular person walking down the street, right? You're going to go to that anchor. What is it that gives you peace at that time? What is it that helps you get things into perspective so that you can take life on as it comes? What is your anchor? Now, for this individual, the lifeboat most assuredly was an anchor. And I'm not saying me. Like I said, there was an entire group of people that this individual had a shot at getting a hold of. And I'm fairly confident I wasn't the first call, by the way. But because of prior things that we had done on a telephone, this person had my number. Folks, if you get to a point where your first thought is, I'm going to call somebody sober and tell them what's going on, much like a sponsor or much like a friend or whatever the setup is, whether you believe in those other systems, there's a reason that they have sponsors, right? That is an anchor for not only the sponsor, but for the person who's using the sponsor. When you start to say, I am going to take responsibility for people other than myself and their sobriety, that anchors you to what it is you're doing. For most assuredly, you hear this so often from people that say, I got a lot out of group therapy. But when it really changed was when I went from being someone that was just in the group to where I became somebody's sponsor. When you start to get to a point where you say, I'm here for you, that really is a beautiful thing. Mark and I talk all the time about how the lifeboat is an anchor for us. This is not just about, building a YouTube channel and selling some t-shirts, right? This is really a situation where it's very much a part of what we do to remain sober. It is very much a part of our program. If you're new to the lifeboat, you may not have heard us say the term, but if you're doing it right, if you're building yourself a sober existence, right? A sober, happy life, if you're putting that together, then there is a program involved. Now, what you design that program to be is up to you. But the one thing that seems to be almost ubiquitous for people who are successful getting sober is some kind of a group of individuals who band together because there is greater power in those numbers than in alone. There is a greater opportunity for success when you surround yourself with people who all have the same goal and the same thought. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's glaringly obvious, that no matter what it is that you're doing in life, I don't care if you're building something, right? I don't care if you're doing anything. If you're doing it with two other people who are all trying to get the exact same goal accomplished, it's easier. It's just logic, correct? Well, finding a group of people that are all in the same boat and all leaning for the same cause, willing to help, willing to lend a hand, and willing, as importantly, if not more importantly, to ask for help. Most difficult thing we do. But you got to find that anchor. Now, are there individuals for whom that anchor will simply be themselves? Yes, absolutely. There are people who do not reach out. There are people who do not want to help others. They just want to take care of their sobriety themselves and be sort of an island unto themselves. I'm not going to tell you that I get it, because I don't, but I'm also not going to bag on it, telling you that, there's no road to sobriety that I take any kind of a problem with. If something is working for you, fantastic. However, I'm not talking to all of you on the deck of the boat right now. I'm talking to the people that are going to find this channel at a later date. Because if all of you just wanted to lean on yourselves, I kind of doubt that you'd be here. This live chat and what we do each and every night here really is a case of people coming together to support one another in their quest to live the rest of their life happy and without the use of chemical. So again, the all night, right? And basically for the rest of your time in this walk of sobriety, the question is, and always will be, what is your anchor? That anchor may change. When you first decide that you're going to quit using, the anchor might be, I don't want my two children to see me as a drug addict. I don't want them to be the next link in that chain, that just continues to go from one generation to the next. I want to break that chain of drug addiction, of all of the things that go with it. That might be your anchor. Then as you start to work a program, as you start to get sober, as you start to go through the process of doing things like writing a goodbye letter to drugs, taking a serious look at who you are, right? What are your characteristics? What is it that makes you who you are? As those processes start to happen, there may be a shift. That anchor can change. You can get to a point where you say, yeah, you know what? I quit for my kids. I got to stay sober for me. And if that anchor changes and it changes to you, or it changes to a higher power, or it changes to whatever, as long as you're conscious of what that is, I think you're in good shape. I really do. But like so many things in sobriety, so often the average person plans a fishing trip more than they plan how they're going to live the rest of their time on this planet without doing drugs or alcohol or whatever you're quitting. People don't take a really proactive role very oftentimes in their own sobriety because it just seems so simple, right? I mean, okay, I have a drinking problem. I'm drinking a fifth of bourbon a day. What I have to do is stop drinking a fifth of bourbon a day. It seems very oftentimes that if we just remove the chemical, or we just remove the substance or the habit, we're good to go. I don't have to worry about all this stuff like, if I'm happy, or my coping skills, or dealing with adversity, or dealing with loss, or getting ready for the holidays. Now I don't have to worry about all that stuff. I just got to stop snorting Coke, right? Whatever it is that is your habit, whatever it is that has become the dictator of the country that is you. For very oftentimes we convince ourselves that we just need to get rid of the dictator. Once that's gone, we're good to go. People, I can't tell you how much I stress the fact that I am not a fan of that. Now, will I get somebody who says to me, yeah, absolutely. You can do this. There's no problem with it. I've been able to do this, whatever. I'm playing the numbers, people. And playing the numbers goes like this. If you don't address the core issues of what drove you to become addicted, then you're probably not going to be successful. I'm not going to say you can't stay sober, but if your core issues are still there, the things that your drug was either taking away or feeding, or however you want to look at it, if that issue doesn't get addressed, then you're a dry drunk, right? You're that sober individual who's not using and is doing this one. I'm sober. I'm not using through the holidays. That's just no way to live. And again, I'll get an email. Hey, I did that. Great. I'm happy for you, man. If you were able to just put down the bottle and then all of a sudden everything was great, I am so happy for you. I can't begin to tell you. Truthfully, but that's not the average, not even close. The average says that individuals who go that route very often either relapse or they live a miserable, sober existence. Everybody hates it when I say this, but hey, if I was going to live that way, I'd rather be high. At least when the people who are using are happy for 4 or 5 hours a day, or 6 hours a day, or whatever the case may be. If you're just living without your chemical, but spending all day, every day, wishing that you had it, well, I can't do that drug anymore, and I'm miserable about it. I mean, if that's the life, why bother? Is it just a financial thing? Well, I'm saving a lot of money. It's really about trying to live your best life. It's about trying to put together a program that you can get up and do every day. And hopefully, people, eventually, that program becomes so second nature that it's not something you think about anymore. It becomes a healthy habit. It becomes something that enables you to live the way that you want to live without drugs and alcohol being a part of your life each and every day. So I will stress this for the entire time that I'm the captain on this boat. You have to have a plan for how you are going to remain sober for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be my plan, but it better be a plan. You have to have something put into place, whether that plan is 12 steps. I wrote my own, people. I wrote my own steps. If you've been on the boat long enough, you heard me do them. I had an 8-step plan. You can go back and look at them. I think they're listed under something having the title says something about, I'm sorry, I just saw Jack in the comments section. Jack, you are going to be eating surströmming soon. You thought you should know that. Yeah, people, you have to have a plan. You have to have something in place that is going to make this a reality. Whatever the process is, there better be a plan. So I would say the challenge going forward is to define your anchor. The challenge going forward is to come up with a roadmap for what the future looks like. What is going to be your anchor? Because if you don't find one, the anchor is going to be tied to your ankle and it's going to drag you to the bottom. That's, again, I know a guy, okay? We're playing the numbers. We're playing the statistics. And we've talked about this ad nauseum, right? Every single time a new month comes along, I come out with the statistics of what is going on and just how ugly, the epidemic of drugs in this country are. I know we have people from all over the world here, but where we're at right now in this country, let me tell you about a drug bust that just happened at the San Diego border. Let me get my glasses on so that I don't mess this up. This was a truck coming across the San Diego border into the United States of America. It had 7,930 kilos of methamphetamine on that truck. That works out to 17,500 pounds of meth. We all know that those drugs are coming into this country. And, we've talked at length about meth. Obviously, this is a scourge. It's a real problem in this country. There's a lot of people on it. You've heard the Joe Birdwell story and how meth, worked him over. It was a very difficult thing. He was on it for 17 years. But it's not causing the daily drug overdoses that we're talking about over, 290 people a day, that are now dying of, I believe it was 290. Does that sound right, Mark? I can't remember the exact number. It's 100,000 in a year. Whatever it is, it's a lot of people dying. But the second part of this bust in the same truck was 176 kilos, right? 176 kilograms of fentanyl. People, that's 389 pounds of fentanyl. Now, had that truck not gotten seized at the Mexican border in San Diego, coming into the United States, then all of that dope would be in America right now on the streets. The question has to be, for anybody logical, how many trucks got through? Right? How many times did one of these trucks get through? I promise you right now, people, I promise you right now. The last stats I gave you were April to April, right? May to May will be coming out here shortly. The fiscal from May of 20 to May of 21. And I can promise you that number is going to go up. It's going to go up. What we're talking about right now in this country is an epidemic of people dying. So the danger in this process of rehab is that when you relapse on an opiate, your tolerance will be at its lowest. There are so many stories. Anybody who has been in the life can tell you handfuls of stories who people overdosed on the day they relapsed. Their tolerance was at its lowest point, right? They hadn't used in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They come back, they get a dose, and it's over. Now that is exacerbated to the umpteenth degree, because as opposed to going and grabbing whatever your drug of choice is, even if it comes in pill form, now what you're probably going to get is fentanyl. It's really a matter of life and death, people. Have a plan. Please take time to put a plan together so that you're not winging it. There are plenty of things in life that are not a big deal. Wing a barbecue. Wing it if you go on a fishing trip with some friends, tailgating at a football game. But the plan for the way to survive the rest of your life in sobriety requires a plan. If you're sketchy on this, if this is something that doesn't make sense to you, reach out, right? Pull the Dropbox down. You're going to see emails from myself, from my partner. Reach out. Tell us, hey, I'm getting sober. I'm fuzzy on this plan thing. Now, I promise you can go back through and listen to videos. If that's a problem, email us. Talk to other people in the comment section. How are you guys staying sober? But put a plan together. Do things like determine the anchor. What is going to hold you in place when the seas get rough? When Mother Nature and the seas and the storms want to push the boat that is you all over the ocean, what is going to be the anchor that keeps your sobriety in place? If you can't answer that, as you're listening to me now, if you go, I'm not sure, that's not good. I promise you, that's not good. You have to have a plan in order to make that happen. Niall Parkinson says there is no such thing as stopping or preventing, let me see here, as stopping or preventing drugs. They know now how to hollow out charcoal sticks for cocaine. Fools the dogs. I agree with you 100%, man. I agree with you 100%. I have said from the very first day that this YouTube channel started that if you are going to win the war on drugs, you're not going to win it from the supply side. Even if the person that's getting the stuff into here gets caught, someone else is willing to risk whatever the consequences are to try to get that next load across. This $17,500 worth of meth and this 389 pounds worth of fentanyl, if that truck driver didn't get caught, that's the end of it, right? He's never working again. Neither is his family. Like, that's it. The amount of money that is going to be made. And these people, I'm not blaming them. I'm really not. There are a lot of times these drugs are coming from countries that these people are desperate. And that is a huge draw. The amount of the amount of motivation for somebody to take the risk to run across a border with a backpack full of dope. I'm not even bad-mouthing the motivation. I'm not bad-mouthing what drives these people. But what I'm saying is I agree with Niall 100%. You're not going to stop that. You're not. If they caught that truck while they were posing and taking the pictures with it, like you see in the papers all the time, another truck was rolling through with a load. That's just the nature of the business. That is the largest border crossing on the planet. There are more border crossings right there every single day than there is anywhere else in the world. We're naive if we think that we can stop everything that's coming across. Niall nailed it. He nailed it. They're hollowing out everything. You hear ears of corn. We could sit and talk for the rest of this show about the creative ways that they have to get these things back across the border. Yeah, so Jack says if 176 got caught, 3,350 pounds got through. Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, that's kind of the nature of what we have going on. Oculi Mortis says they're 10 steps ahead of us. People, last year, they caught a submarine, right? So I think it's pretty safe to say that we can all sit back and say, well, that's one thing we're not going to win, right? Let's get that taken care of. There's no chance that we're going to stop that from happening, ever. So what needs to happen is everybody needs to get concerned with not the war on drugs, but the battle. If the battle on drugs is your kid, or if the battle on drugs is you, right? If everybody had the mindset of, well, I'm just going to make sure that my loved ones don't use. If every single person in this country had that mindset, we could actually do damage to this war on drugs. Because if there aren't people to buy them, well, then the desire to bring them across obviously decreases. But what's happened is the more they bring across, the cheaper it gets. The cheaper it gets, the more people are doing it. It's just this never-ending sort of deuce show of sorts that has created a perfect storm to guarantee that these things continue to come in here. So for those of us standing on the deck of the lifeboat today, the question becomes, what are you going to do? What is your anchor? What do you come back to when the seas get tough? What are you going to do when the bad news comes? My suggestion, people, is to build a support family, to have them in place. Be ready to lean out and say, I need help. Be ready to do what is the first thing on that list for you to do. And everybody's going to define that differently. And I'm not here to badmouth whatever list you put together, but I'm badmouth the snot out of it if you don't have one. You know, if your list is, well, I'm just not going to use. Okay. I wish you the best of luck with that. Truthfully, I hope that works out. But it's probably not the plan that's going to work for most people. Very oftentimes, the first step for a lot of people is a prayer. It's one of the reasons that we ask for prayers and positive energy and thoughts. People, you don't have to believe what we believe, but we ask for those because a great majority of people do believe in it. You can get there without it, I promise you. And there are people that do and do it beautifully, but every one of them had a plan. Every one of them has a way that they cope and they deal, right? How do I deal with this? How do I cope with this? You know, take the time to do research so that you can start, getting your breathing under control when the panic starts, to turn off that part of your brain that is just going to go emotional on you, right? Fear. The fear kicks in. And then all of these irrational thoughts begin to happen. When this individual called me today, the things that they were saying into the phone made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And when I pointed it out to the person and said, this is what you're worried about, by the end of the call, we were laughing. Doesn't make me a genius. 99 out of 100 times, any person you talk to will be able to say, hey, you're not being very logical about this, because they're not emotionally invested into the problem that they're having. You understand? That emotional investment into whatever problem you're having is what makes it so difficult to make a good decision. When you are all in emotionally, you are not all in logically. So to reach out to somebody who can be logical because they do not have an emotional attachment to the problem that you're describing is one of the reasons that this works. Oculi Mortis says, a bigger person stands up and asks for help. I love it. I really do. I absolutely love it. And it's not an easy thing, people, because it goes against virtually everything that makes us what we are, especially as users. That is a solitary existence. We've gone over this before. I don't care if you're in a room full of people. You're always at some level and at some degree alone. It's you and your problem. It's you and your addiction. It's you and your habit. Yeah, there may be other people they're using, but it's not the same kind of a situation that you have when you make those bonds with people, and what you have in common isn't, boy, we need to come up with $25 before the guy stops selling today. Or, what store are we going to go rob? Of all of the people who were friends of mine in my life, only one remained. Because truthfully, we didn't build our friendship on drugs. We both did it. And we both did it together. But our friendship was built on something far stronger and far more real than drugs. But having that support group in place, having all of those plans, all of those contingencies in place for what is going to happen when the ship hits the sand, having all of that in place is going to get you into a much greater chance for success. Miss V says, alcohol is a big no-no for me. My nickname became Pinball. I bounce off of walls when I drink. I'm not laughing at you. I promise you I'm laughing with you, but that's a great nickname for someone who bounces off the walls. Jack, I love you too, man. I really do. I'm glad you're here. You're probably not going to love me the same once we do this Systroming thing. If you haven't seen the hashtag Jack Systroming, your days are coming. We've been talking about it. This is what happens when you don't show up on the boat. We make plans without you. And make no mistake, the Systroming is coming. So people, as we get ready for the holidays, this is the time. If you do not have a plan in place, this would be a really good time to make one. And now this is the time of the show, one of my favorite times of the show, each and every day, where I let go of the helm, I turn into a squirrel, and I pass the baton over to my bobble-headed brother, who, by the way, looks completely different. He's got this sort of clean sort of clean shaven, cleaned up kind of a look going. It's I like it, Mark. Truthfully, I think you look great. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
Good.
Yeah, just trying to do the thing. Holidays is definitely could be a really high stress point for people. But I want to stress. Oh, by the way, thank you there for that super chat. That was very generous, Jamie. But yeah, can everybody hear me before I move on? I'm making sure because it's kind of crazy. I think they can. You can hear me, can't you, Tommy?
I can hear you. I absolutely can hear you.
I mean, am I low or anything like that?
No, you sound perfect.
Okay. All right, guys. So yeah, guys. Yeah, the holidays, man, and staying anchored during the holidays is sometimes hard to do. Because we're getting stretched in so many different ways. Most of us go to multiple family get-togethers and all of that, and I, being anchored is a really cool thing because it does help you get past those stressful times because you have some place to go back to and really, recenter yourself back. And with the whole subject matter is something that I feel very fortunate because I have such a great. I got a huge anchor. I mean, honestly, the thing is, the whole crew couldn't pick mine up. I promise you. I mean, it's really that way for me. It goes back to the gratitude thing we were talking about. It is such a huge blessing in my life that I was able to come across the people I did in my life. Mainly my wife, and subsequently my kids and my mom, everybody. Right? I mean, we get that. But also being anchored sometimes comes with a little bit of judgment that happens to us. Sometimes you'll go back to your family where you think you're really safe and anchored in there really well. Nobody's going to say anything crazy to you. You can kind of come back here and just center back up. But then somebody will say something that's extremely judgmental. And what I would say to that, be cautious because they probably don't mean it. It's not something like that. But, this whole subject is such a huge thing for people. And I feel like what we do here on the boat is providing at least somewhat of an anchor for people. There's always like Tommy said earlier, there's a place you can come here. We've made ourselves so available. There's really no reason if you're comfortable to not contact one of us. Me, Tommy, the Facebook group. When I say one of us, I'm talking about the whole crew. I'm not talking about just me and Tommy. And that's been proven time and time again in the chat already. I mean, if you go back and you look at the video that was posted this morning about faith, compare the amount of views to the amount of comments we got. I did that before I came online. And there's almost more comments than there are views. It's crazy. But what that tells me is people are coming there for anchor. That's when they feel comfortable. They're at home, right? And if you notice, you can go down and read any of the stuff in that comment section. It's all about trying to help each other. Every bit of it. And you just don't get that nowadays. And it's important to have that anchor spot to come back to. I watched this show. I can't remember what it's called, but it's they do the cruise line ships. It's like a personal cruise, and they show the deck crew and all that kind of stuff. And I see them pulling up anchor all the time and moving back and forth. And that actually struck a chord in my head that sometimes, if you're in a spot, you might need to pull your anchor up and move and drop it again. Because there's definitely times that happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen to you. I'm not saying it has to be you need to move across the country. You might just need to pull anchor, move 100 yards so you can catch more fish. I mean, that's just what it really amounts to. But I really do want to stress that. Don't feel like it's a failure if you've come back to your anchor point and it isn't as strong as what it used to be. So that does happen. Just life happens. So just be willing to be fluid. That's kind of what I'm saying. And try your best to do the understanding part. Because I promise you, anybody that's never been through this cannot completely understand what we do. They just never will. They can empathize, not sympathize. I mean, I know I've said that so much lately, but it is so true. It really is. And, that's what I would say to the anchor thing, because, and I want to say something
I
about
agree with you.
the video this morning. I did the editing on that, and I was trying not to incorporate so many religious things there. I really was. If you notice, when I didn't really point a whole lot towards all that, because I understand. I do. Just because I believe in something doesn't necessarily mean everybody else has to. And you're not going to get that judgment here. And Tommy stressed that earlier. But when I edited it, Tommy didn't get a chance to see it until I posted it anyway. And I went back and rewatched it, and it does look pretty heavily scriptural based. And it wasn't intentional that way. It's just for people that don't believe, like in a Christian God and all that. Don't forget that, if you take that whole thing out of the Bible, it's still got a lot of good advice, and that's what I would say. I really would, because we, as a Christian, I'll go look at some of the other religious books, because there's good proverbs and stuff in there that you can really get a lot of good advice on. So please understand that it wasn't anything that I did intentionally or was trying to heavy it that way. But when you talk about faith, it's hard not to incorporate a lot of that stuff, because it simply is part of it. That's what I would say. So
Okay, I got a couple of things from the live chat, people. Number one, I saw Sarah and Dibbity said I lost my anchor yesterday. Boy, oh boy, I'm sorry to hear that. And this is a tough time of year. And also, the other comment from the same individual was, I fell off of the boat today, but tomorrow's another day. And I'll tell you what, that is absolutely the attitude that more than anything makes me happy that this channel is here. So oftentimes you see, people that once they make a misstep, or they feel like, there was a start of a relapse, or they had drinks, or they used drugs, or whatever, it blows the next 6 or 8 months off of their lives, because they just can't sort of get back onto track. They don't want to tell anybody what happened. That was me, people. I was that guy. Once I relapsed, forget about it. I was going to go hard. I was going to avoid everybody, because I didn't want to take responsibility and accept the things that I had done. And I am always so proud of people that say, you know what, today I made a mistake, but tomorrow I'm getting up and dusting off. I think that is just the evolution of people on the way to being their best self. I really truthfully believe that when you can dust yourself off, get up and start again,
right.
and be honest with the crew and say, this is what happened. That to build that honesty from the word go, that's amazing stuff.
Well, Rhett said it in one of his videos. Grizzly Heat, you guys don't know who Rhett is. He did an interview early on the channel here, and his daughter Grizzly Cub was on here, did hers also, but he was talking about that exact thing. We oftentimes don't forgive ourselves, right? If we fall off, what happens? You get immediate guilt, right? It's instantaneous. I mean, no sooner than you put that chemical in your body, you immediately feel like you have just, kicked the dog and did all that kind of stuff, right? But he, Rhett said it in a way that was really, really powerful. When you're forgiving somebody, yes, some of that forgiveness is for them, but the majority of it is for you. Because if you don't do that, you grab a hold of that bitterness and it'll grab you. I mean, it's really profound the way that he put it. And I would encourage everybody to go check that video, all his videos, by the way. But it is definitely, that was a good piece of advice that he shared. And, it really stuck in my head. So it definitely was those kinds of powerful moments, you never know when they're going to come or where they're going to come from. So,
Oh, amen. But if you find yourself feeling like with the anchor now gone, if you feel like you're struggling, please reach out to people on the crew. Feel free to drop me an email, to drop one to Mark. I promise you that we will respond to it. I have people been under the weather. The last couple of days have been better, but I definitely had been having a tougher time getting back to people as fast because of where I was at. However, I am doing considerably better. Please reach out. If you've never reached out, period, please reach out to either myself or Mark. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what your drug of choice is, where you're at in life. Are you sober? Are you planning on getting sober? Do you want help? How we can reach out and sort of meet you halfway, or what we can do to help you, because that really is the nature of what we can do.
Right. Yeah, Brandon pops in there and says he's 5 days sober now.
Yep.
He's never quitting. Honestly, guys, that's what it is. And
no, he's been an example of that.
Yes.
An excellent example of that.
Yes, very much so. And it's awesome to see that kind of stuff. Because when you get in those kind of mindsets, you do need a moment of clarity. And wherever you can get that moment from, I suggest you try to find it. Wherever that comes from. It doesn't have to come from a medication or anything like that. It could come from whatever. If somebody's able to get you to understand, or you're watching something that clicks and gives you that understanding that, hey, this is what's going on, I would suggest grab a hold of that. It never quitting. I know we say that so much. There's a lot of phrases we just continually say, and the reason why is they work. They work and they're powerful. It's that simple. So yeah.
Got another good one here from Truth 760. Says, pretending everything is fine, being a functional addict, will lead you to rock bottom. Saying tomorrow I am going to do better is progress. I was always a denier of my own issues, lying to me. Man, oh man, that's a great comment. Truth, I really appreciate you writing that down, because I'm telling you, so many times we beat ourselves up about things and we don't. We literally miss the opportunities to realize that you're growing. A lot of times when you're starting the process of getting sober, we set the bar at the 15-year mark. I am never going to use again for the rest of my life. Everything's going to be perfect. I'm never going to. If you just start with the concept of today, I am going to stay sober. If one of those days you stumble, you're so much more likely to get back up and get back up quickly. That's a great comment, Truth. It really is. I also did not shout out to Jamie. Jamie, thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate you. It's a great crew member, and people I have corresponded back and forth with Jamie a few times, and she has known me from the Tommy's Picks days. So like last millennium, it feels like a long time ago. But just really fantastic to have you here, Jamie. Your story is amazing, and we're really, really proud of where you're at. And another.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want
to
just a little housekeeping here, just real quick before we end up. We're starting to see some issues with YouTube and notifications. We know it's a platform issue, guys. It's not just us; it's everywhere. It's a hard thing to wrap your brain around. But I do want to try to follow through what we were going to do early on in the channel. I want to set up something where we can send out our own invitations, notifications, those kinds of things. Not invitation, but notify you that, hey, we're getting ready to go live. But short of, if you guys could, we're going to work on figuring out what we need to do there. But, short of that, just remember, we are here every night at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific. It's somewhere close. If we're not going to be, we will post something. We always have. That's just what we do. And so just remember that. And I get life gets in your way sometimes. So I understand it. I get it. But we just want to make sure that you're at least getting notified in some way that we're getting ready to go live, or that there was a video posted even. So, and also, guys, please, this is the best thing you can do to support us. That's share it everywhere you can find. That would be the biggest thing you can do to help this channel. I mean, honestly. So,
No question. Anyway. Niall Parkinson says, good show. We meet always at the crossroads. You know what, Niall? I love having you here. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but you are a very respectful cat, and your insights are always, they're always valued. You're one of those people too that makes me think, and that's always really a good thing.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, no question. I am always glad that you're here, and always happy to meet you at the crossroads.
Good song, by the way.
Yeah, great song. Okay. Cindy Lamb says, Miss V, my brother won't even call. Bad things happen. My sister tagged me. I don't have a family. Yes, you do. She said, I only have one son out of 4 kids and 3 siblings, and there are people, my sister, abusing my mom. That's awful. But Cindy Lamb, you got a family right here. I promise you. We're happy that you're here, and we will be more than happy to meet you as far as you wish, to be a support family anytime you need us. Reach out. I'm easy to get a hold of. Everybody here, you'll see a lot of people exchanging contact information, direct messaging each other. Cindy says, I only have 2 brain cells left. You know what? I've got 3, and it's done me okay. Hang in there. I think you can get by with 2. I've made 3 work now for about 6.5 years. It will happen. Miss V says, I have found my family here. I love that. Speaking of which, let's keep Miss V in our prayers, people. Going forward, need some prayers, positive energy from Miss V. And Lady Fiona Crispin is still under the weather. She thought she was out of the woods, and apparently I got a text from a boy, said that she's back, not feeling well again. Odd, there's this stomach bug. It's on 3 or 4 different continents. And we got people from the lifeboat crew. If you didn't know better, you'd think we were all hanging out on a less than virtual boat. It's kind of unbelievable.
Right.
Charlie Mullins said that he got mail today from Alan Ballantyne. He was kind enough to not mention what was in that mail, but I know what he's doing. You know what I mean? You're not sliding one by me, Charlie. I know exactly what you were saying there, bud.
Hey,
and,
prayers
you
for
keep that
Joanna
stuff to
also.
yourself. What's that?
Prayers for Joanna. I guess something happened. She had to leave the chat, so I don't know exactly what's going on. So just so everybody knows.
Yeah, please. Let's keep our thoughts and our prayers with Joanna as well. Joanna's great. Well, people, we're at the top of the hour, and you know what that means. This is the time where we say goodnight and tell you that tomorrow morning at 8:00 a.m. on the West Coast, we are going to be putting up another video. Between now and then, people, there's one thing we would like all of you to do. Reach out, try to help someone. Let's see if maybe you can help be an anchor for somebody and helps leave the earth a better place than we found it. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
All right, people, we will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. God bless.